let you guys know that about 10 years ago, I auditioned for X Factor, and I got down to the last stage of boot camp, but I was never shown on TV. That's a lie. My elbow was shown. I remember watching the camera pan across the crowd as I was watching it back on TV once it actually aired. And I saw it get to the person that I was standing next to, and then I saw my elbow, and then it panned back the other way. Anyway, that's besides the point. Let me tell you what the audition process was like, because it was tough. From what I can remember, I think there was about 3 or 4 auditions before you actually get to the TV stage, before you see the judges, Simon Cowell, etc. And a phone interview. Now, my phone interview, I'm going to tell you about that. So a researcher called me, and they was asking about my life, and my mum and dad aren't together, so they was very interested in that. And they were saying things like, you know, do you get pulled from one parent to the other? Is it a very emotional situation? Would you be comfortable talking about your emotions on TV? To which I was saying that I'm fine. Like, it's not an emotional situation. Everybody's adults, you know, we're all good. It was an emotional situation, but I was not going to go on TV and talk about that. I wanted to go on TV and sing, not give a sob story. So that was that. I had nothing to give for that phone call. We did the 4 auditions. They were tough. They were really tough. It was waiting around all day. And when I say all day, I'm talking like people were camping out from the day before, so you can imagine how long that queue was. Then we get to boot camp, and boot camp was a whole different ball game. So you get put in rooms with people you've never met before. Not only are you in the same room with 2 people you've never met before, you're also sharing a bed with them, which is weird. I mean, nothing against the show here. It's just a weird situation. I understand that you have to do that, but, you know, I took the sofa. So anyway, this boot camp lasted 4 days and 3 nights. And they took our room keys away from us, and they would give them back about 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I think it was 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, definitely no later than 6. They were knocking on our doors to get us up. We were knackered, absolutely knackered. And I think it was the 3rd night. It was the night before the last day. We were all up all night because we had the biggest audition the next day, obviously, to go to judges' houses. And everyone was so nervous. So we was up all night, but that was our choice. But yeah, the other 2 nights, our room keys were taken away, so we ended up getting 3 to 4 hours sleep a night. Also, the food was crap. It was like pizza and chips. It was real crappy food that doesn't give you energy. Also, at the time, I had a bacterial infection in my stomach. I was under the hospital for it. It was really bad. The lining of my stomach was being eaten away by this bacterial infection, which meant my food was leaking into my blood and making me pass out. And I was on medication and a very, very strict diet. So before boot camp, we were all asked, are there any dietary requirements? Which I said yes, gave them my dietary requirements. They said that wouldn't be a problem. Otherwise, obviously, I would have turned up with food. Should have turned up with food. But they said it wouldn't be a problem, so I didn't. I had to be wheat and gluten-free. I was also not allowed any sugar, not even natural sugars in fruit, no dairy. It was a very, very strict diet that I had to do for 6 months. I turned up and there was just nothing for me. I managed to catch one of the runners, and I said to him, like, I'm ill at the moment and I'm on a very strict diet and there's nothing here that I can eat. And he just looked at me, and I promise you, I did not say it with attitude. I'm not that person to go in confrontationally, especially when it's something to do with myself. I'm very, very calm. So I said it, and he just looked at me and didn't even reply. Just turned his back and walked away. So that was the point when I realized, okay, I'm obviously not going to be catered for here, but also had no choice but to eat their food. So I spent the 4 days really ill. And then we get to my last audition, the one where I didn't make it through. So I sang my song, I auditioned. I then went to a holding room where I sat with everybody else for about 8 hours. Fine, absolutely fine. They've got so many people to get through. It is grueling. So I understand the wait. We then got called in groups. So I went in my group, went in front of the judges, and that's when we were told that our particular group weren't going any further and we were going home. Fine. Except it's not fine, because when you're there, you don't realise how much you want it until you're in it. And then when they take it away, it's like your whole world has just been ripped apart. So you walk out of the room after just finding out that actually you're not going to be a superstar, because you truly believed that you would. You walk out of the room and there is a camera in your face. And they were saying lines like, what are you going to do now that you've let your family down? Everybody who supported you, how are you going to tell them? It was gut-wrenching hearing these words, because that is what you're thinking at the time. Oh my goodness, everybody is counting on me. Everybody is supporting me. Everybody wants me to get through. And now I've got to phone them and tell them that I didn't. So as the cameramen and women were asking these questions, everybody was just falling apart in front of the camera. Also, I didn't add, because we were on such little sleep and such crappy food, everybody's energy levels were all over the place. Nobody had any tolerance. Nobody had any patience. People were arguing. And I mean, people were gunning for each other. Like, I don't like confrontation. And I was just sitting in the middle of like World War II that was happening around me. Which is interesting, because not a lot of that gets shown, the arguing and the getting in each other's faces. But trust me, that happens. So yeah, people were absolutely falling apart in front of the camera with the questions that these cameramen and women were asking. I personally didn't, because I did not want to cry on TV, even though I had that painful lump in my throat. I just said my family are going to be proud of me no matter what. And then I walked out, hid behind a tree and cried my absolute eyes out. And lastly, now, as I said, I got to the last stage of boot camp and I was in the girls category. Now I would be in the overs, but let's not talk about that. Well, I was in the girls category and I think I got down to the last 20 or 30. And when you're all in a room together, that's not a lot of people. Like, you're all making friends, you're all in each other's pockets for 4 days straight, you know who's there. And now I'm not going to say that the winner of that year wasn't there, but I am going to say that I didn't see her, and I'm going to leave it at that.